Have you ever wondered what life feels like when your home can move with the desert? A place where the horizon never seems to end, where silence speaks louder than noise, and where every sunrise begins another journey shaped by nature instead of clocks. Hidden among endless dunes and rocky valleys, Bedouin camps preserve a way of life that has survived for centuries. To many outsiders, the desert appears empty. It looks harsh, unforgiving, and impossible to call home. Yet for generations of Bedouins, this landscape has been a source of life, wisdom, and identity. Every hill, every dry riverbed, and every distant mountain tells a story. The desert is not simply where they live, it is part of who they are. The word Bedouin comes from the Arabic word Badawi, meaning desert dweller. Traditionally, Bedouins lived as nomads across the vast deserts of the Arabian Peninsula, Jordan, Syria, Egypt, and parts of North Africa. They moved with their herds, searching for fresh grazing land and precious water. Their survival depended on understanding a landscape that many others feared. Although many Bedouins now live in towns and cities, thousands of families continue to maintain traditional camps, either permanently or during seasonal migrations. Visiting one of these camps feels like stepping into another rhythm of life, one where time is measured not by schedules, but by the movement of the sun, the wind, and the animals. Long before the first light reaches the sand, the camp begins to wake. The cool air before sunrise is one of the most valuable moments of the day. During these quiet hours, people prepare for the intense desert heat that will soon arrive. A faint glow appears on the horizon as family members emerge from black woven tents. Some begin preparing breakfast, while others gather the goats or camels. Children help with simple tasks, learning responsibilities from an early age. No one needs to be reminded what to do. Every person understands their role because these routines have been passed down through generations. The famous Bedouin tent is much more than a shelter. Traditionally woven from black goat hair, it is designed perfectly for desert life. During rare rainstorms, the fibers swell and become almost waterproof. In dry weather, tiny openings allow air to circulate naturally, helping keep the inside cooler. The tent is divided into different areas. One section is reserved for family life, while another welcomes guests. Hospitality is central to Bedouin culture, and visitors are often invited into the guest area, regardless of who they are or where they come from. Outside, the camp slowly comes alive. Goats wander nearby. Camels kneel patiently in the sand. Chickens search for insects around the edges of the tents. Every animal serves a purpose. They provide milk, meat, transportation, wool, or companionship. Caring for them is one of the most important daily responsibilities. Unlike city life, where every minute is planned, Bedouin life follows nature. The weather decides the pace of work. If temperatures become dangerously hot during midday, activities slow down. People rest in the shade, drink tea, repair equipment, or spend time talking with relatives. Conversation plays an important role inside the camp. Stories are shared constantly. Older family members speak about past migrations, difficult seasons, famous ancestors, and lessons learned in the desert. These stories are not only entertainment, they are a living library that teaches survival, values, and history. Children grow up surrounded by this oral tradition. Instead of learning only from books, they also learn by watching, listening, and practicing. They discover how to recognize animal tracks, understand changing weather, and navigate by the stars long before they ever use modern technology. One of the first things many visitors notice is the incredible silence. In large cities, silence is almost impossible to find. In the desert, it becomes part of everyday life. The wind, distant animal calls, and shifting sand replace traffic and machinery. Many people say this silence changes the way they think. Water is perhaps the most valuable resource in the entire camp. Every drop matters. Families know exactly where reliable wells are located, sometimes traveling many kilometers to reach them. Water is used carefully and respectfully. Waste is avoided because survival depends on conservation. As the morning continues, women often prepare bread using methods that have changed very little over hundreds of years. Dough is mixed by hand, using simple ingredients like flour, water, and salt. It may be baked directly on hot stones, inside traditional ovens, or beneath the sand itself, where the earth becomes a natural oven. Fresh bread is usually served with goat cheese, yogurt, dates, olives, honey, or olive oil, depending on the region. The meal is simple but nourishing. Every ingredient reflects generations of adapting to limited resources. Tea soon follows. Few traditions are more important than serving tea or Arabic coffee. Preparing coffee is almost ceremonial. The beans are roasted, ground, and brewed with great care. The host pours small cups, one at a time, always beginning with the guest. Refusing this first cup without a reason may be considered impolite. Accepting it means accepting friendship and respect. Even strangers crossing the desert have historically been welcomed with food, water, and shelter before being asked any questions. This tradition developed from necessity. In the desert, today's stranger could become tomorrow's lifesaver. Hospitality was not only kindness, it was an unwritten survival agreement shared among everyone who crossed these unforgiving lands. Throughout the day, many family members focus on livestock. Camels remain among the most iconic animals associated with Bedouins. Perfectly adapted to desert conditions, they can travel long distances while carrying heavy loads. Their milk provides important nutrition, and historically they served as the primary means of transportation across vast deserts. Goats are equally important. They require less water than many other animals and produce milk that becomes yogurt, cheese, and butter. Their hair is used to weave the strong fabric needed for traditional tents. Life inside the camp demands practical skills. Broken ropes must be repaired. Saddles need maintenance. Water containers must remain clean. Cooking equipment requires constant care. Every object has value because replacing it may not be easy. Despite the hard work, there is often an atmosphere of calm rather than stress. Tasks are completed steadily instead of hurriedly. Experience teaches that rushing often leads to mistakes, especially in an environment where mistakes can have serious consequences. The desert itself constantly changes. Winds reshape dunes overnight. Dry valleys may suddenly flood after distant rainfall. Temperatures can swing dramatically between day and night. Living here requires observation and patience more than force. Navigation is another remarkable skill. Long before GPS existed, Bedouins crossed enormous distances using landmarks, stars, the direction of prevailing winds, and even subtle differences in the color of the landscape. Experienced travelers could recognize places that appeared identical to outsiders. Many visitors are surprised by the richness of desert knowledge. Bedouins understand which plants have medicinal uses, where certain herbs grow after seasonal rains, and which shrubs provide the best food for animals. What appears barren to outsiders contains countless hidden signs for those who know how to read the land. As afternoon approaches, shadows grow shorter and temperatures often become extreme. This is when the camp becomes quieter again. Families gather beneath shaded areas of the tents. Conversations continue while children play nearby. Some repair clothing or weave fabric using traditional techniques that have been preserved for generations. The weaving itself is an art form. Strong strips of goat hair fabric are created by hand, often decorated with subtle traditional patterns unique to different tribes. Every completed piece represents many hours of careful work and remarkable craftsmanship. While modern materials are available today, many families continue producing traditional textiles, both because they are practical and because they preserve an important connection to their heritage. As the intense afternoon heat slowly begins to fade, activity gradually returns to the camp once again. As the afternoon heat begins to fade, the camp slowly becomes active again. Animals are brought back from grazing, fires are prepared, and the scent of fresh bread and wood smoke drifts through the evening air. This is often the busiest and most social time of the day. Families gather together, neighbors visit one another, and the desert, which seemed almost silent under the midday sun, begins to feel alive again. Dinner is rarely rushed. Food is prepared with care, and sharing it is just as important as eating it. Traditional Bedouin meals are simple, but they are full of flavor and history. Every dish reflects generations of adapting to life where resources are limited and nothing can be wasted. Rice is a common part of many meals today, often served with lamb or goat that has been slowly cooked until tender. In some regions, chicken is more common, while in others, camel meat is reserved for special celebrations or honored guests. Fresh yogurt, goat cheese, olives, dates, and flatbread are almost always close at hand. One of the most famous dishes is zarb, a meal cooked beneath the ground. A deep pit is dug into the sand, and hot coals are placed at the bottom. Meat and vegetables are arranged on metal racks, lowered into the pit, and covered tightly. The food cooks slowly for several hours, using the heat trapped beneath the earth. When the pit is finally opened, the aroma spreads through the camp long before anyone sees the meal. Preparing food together strengthens family bonds. Children often help carry bread, gather firewood, or pour tea for guests. They learn by watching their parents and grandparents, not through formal lessons but through daily participation. Every meal becomes another opportunity to pass traditions from one generation to the next. Hospitality remains one of the strongest values in Bedouin society. A visitor is rarely allowed to leave hungry. Even if supplies are limited, the best available food is often offered to the guest first. Generosity is seen not as a sign of wealth, but as a measure of character. This tradition has deep roots. For centuries, travelers crossing the desert depended on the kindness of strangers. A single cup of water or a place to rest could mean the difference between life and death. Because of this, welcoming others became more than courtesy. It became a moral responsibility. As darkness approaches, the desert changes once again. The blazing heat disappears surprisingly quickly, replaced by cool air that can sometimes feel almost cold. Above the camp, the sky transforms into one of the clearest night skies on Earth. Far from the bright lights of modern cities, thousands of stars become visible. The Milky Way stretches across the sky like a glowing river. For generations, Bedouins have used these stars not only for beauty, but for navigation. Long before maps or satellites existed, experienced travelers crossed vast deserts by recognizing familiar constellations and the movement of the night sky. The stars also remind people of something larger than themselves. Many evenings are spent sitting around the fire, drinking tea, telling stories, and looking upward. In these quiet moments, time seems to slow down. Surviving in the desert requires more than physical strength. It demands patience, observation, and respect for nature. Bedouins know that fighting the desert is impossible. Instead, they work with it. Clothing is one example of this wisdom. Loose-fitting robes protect the body from direct sunlight while allowing air to circulate. Head coverings shield the face from blowing sand and reduce exposure to the intense heat. What may seem heavy to an outsider is actually perfectly adapted to the environment. Water management is another essential skill. Families understand exactly how much water is available and how long it must last. Wells are carefully maintained, and knowledge about hidden water sources has traditionally been shared only within trusted communities. Every journey is planned around access to water, making it the most valuable resource in the desert. Even reading the weather becomes an important survival skill. Experienced Bedouins notice subtle changes in wind direction, cloud formation, and animal behavior that may signal approaching rain or sandstorms. These observations are based on generations of experience rather than technology. Sandstorms are among the greatest challenges. Powerful winds can reduce visibility to almost nothing within minutes. During these storms, tents are secured, animals are protected, and families wait patiently until conditions improve. Experience teaches that survival often depends on preparation rather than speed. Despite the harsh conditions, the desert is far from empty. Small plants bloom after seasonal rains. Birds migrate across the region. Desert foxes, reptiles, and countless insects have adapted to survive here. Bedouins have learned to observe this hidden ecosystem closely, understanding that every living thing plays a role. Tradition shapes nearly every aspect of life inside the camp. Weddings are joyful community events filled with music, poetry, and shared meals. Tribal identity remains important, connecting families through generations of history and ancestry. Poetry holds a special place in Bedouin culture. Long before written records became common, poems preserved family histories, celebrated bravery, expressed love, and remembered important events. Even today, poetry competitions remain popular in many Bedouin communities. Music also carries deep cultural meaning. Simple instruments, rhythmic clapping, and traditional songs accompany celebrations and gatherings. The music often reflects the rhythm of desert life itself, steady, patient, and deeply connected to the landscape. Respect for elders is another defining characteristic. Older family members are valued not simply because of their age, but because they carry decades of practical knowledge. They remember ancient migration routes, forgotten wells, tribal histories, and lessons learned through experience. Their advice is sought before important decisions are made. Marriage strengthens not only families, but entire communities. Celebrations often bring together relatives from distant regions, reinforcing relationships that may have existed for centuries. Hospitality becomes even more visible during these events, with large communal meals prepared for everyone who attends. Yet Bedouin life today is changing. Many families now own pickup trucks instead of relying solely on camels. Mobile phones connect camps that once communicated only through travel. Solar panels provide electricity for lights, refrigerators, and charging devices. Children often attend schools while still maintaining close ties to traditional life. Some Bedouins have settled permanently in villages and cities, pursuing careers in business, education, healthcare, and government. Others continue seasonal migrations, balancing modern opportunities with ancient customs. Tourism has also brought new challenges and opportunities. Visitors from around the world come to experience Bedouin hospitality, ride camels, sleep beneath desert stars, and learn about traditional culture. For some communities, tourism provides valuable income. At the same time, many work carefully to preserve the authenticity of their traditions, rather than turning them into performances. Climate change presents another growing concern. Rising temperatures, changing rainfall patterns, and increasing pressure on water resources affect both livestock and traditional migration routes. Communities that have adapted to the desert for centuries now face environmental changes unlike those experienced by previous generations. Even so, one thing remains remarkably constant. The values that define Bedouin life, hospitality, resilience, family, and respect for nature, continue to shape everyday decisions. Modern tools may change how people travel or communicate, but they do not easily replace traditions built over hundreds of years. Perhaps that is what surprises visitors most. Life inside a Bedouin camp is not simply about surviving in one of the world's harshest environments. It is about belonging to a landscape that has shaped generations of people. It is about finding comfort without excess, community without constant connection, and purpose within simple daily routines. To someone passing through, the desert may seem empty, but to those who call it home, it is filled with memory, meaning, and quiet wisdom. As the final fire burns low and the stars stretch endlessly above the tents, the camp settles into silence once more. Tomorrow, the sun will rise over the same dunes, the same distant mountains, and the same timeless horizon. And with it, another day will begin, guided not by the ticking of a clock, but by traditions that have endured across centuries, carried gently forward by the people who still choose to call the desert home.